Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Midweek Moment. I just wanted to pop on and, remind everyone about our pledge campaign for stewardship to make sure that you are pledging, whether that's online using our website and that Give tab, or whether it is through getting a pledge card and dropping it in the offering here in the next week or so, or mailing that back into church. Having that information is just so helpful to our finance team so that they can put together a budget for the 2022 year. So if you can please get this done, it would be so appreciated. I also wanted to remind everyone to please be checking your email about Elvanto and making sure that you are logging in and updating your information on a regular basis. Just checking it, making sure it's staying up to date, those emails, your phone number, your address, all of that. Make sure it is up to date in there. And please also update your picture of you or your family. Whatever kind of picture you'd like to include would be great. There will be a directory that is printed using that information and those images that you put in there. So if you could please get that updated, that would be awesome. An email was sent on Tuesday with all the directions needed. If you have questions, please reach out. We are here to help. Same with the pledge campaign. If you have questions, please reach out. Now, from here, you're going to see the video that was sent out a few weeks ago that walked through how to set up your pledge. I want to remind you that whenever you set up your pledge this year, the amount that you're going to type in is the amount for the entire year. It's not the amount you want to give weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or on the 1st and 15th. It is the amount for the entire 12 months. So you're going to have to do some math. So make sure you have your calculator out. You're ready to go. If you have questions, please reach out. We are here to help. We can go in and edit. You can also go back to that same link and log in to edit your pledge amount. If you realize that, oh no, I put the wrong amount, please reach out and let us know. So here are those directions. And then after you watch how to do your pledge using our website, there will be another portion of our stewardship workshop from September with Pastor Jerry O'Neill. So if you have any questions, please reach out. So if you remember from some previous communication that has gone out in the past couple of weeks, you have 3 options for giving us your pledge for 2022. So you can mail that pledge to church. There are pledge cards in the narthex at church. If you would like one, we can have that sent to you. If you send us a request for mail, we can send it to you in the mail if needed. But they are the narthex at church. You can mail those again back to church. Remember, we're a P.O. box now. If you need that address, please reach out to MJ or to myself and we will get that to you. The second way is to put your pledge card into the offering plate on Sunday mornings. Just place it in there and it will get to our finance team. The third option that I'm going to go over more in depth today is about using our website and Elvanto/Tithely to set up your pledge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first go to our website, which is standrews-elca.org. Once I get to the homepage, I'm going to come to the right side and click Give. From here, I'm going to scroll down to where it says 2022 Pledge Campaign. Then I'm going to click on the gold button that says 2022 Giving Pledge. You will be taken to another screen that says 2022 Pledge Campaign. You're just going to want to make sure that you see this screen to know you're in the right place. From here, you're going to click on the blue button that says Make a Pledge. So I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to decide what my total pledge for the year is going to be. So for the year means for January through December of 2022. So if I wanted to give $10 a month, I would do 10 times 12 to get this amount, which is $120. So I'm going to decide my frequency next. Am I going to give a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, 1st and 15th? Pick whatever frequency is best for you. I'm going to leave it at weekly for now. Then I'm going to choose my start date. So my start date, I want to make sure that I pick January 1st, because remember, these are the gifts that you are giving to the church starting January 1st, 2022. So that is your start date. Your end date is 12/31/2022. That should automatically be there. please just make sure it is. Then you have the option to go ahead and give something today if you would like. Now, this will not go towards 2022. This will go towards 2021. So keep that in mind, but feel free to go ahead and do that if you wish. The next thing that's going to come up is you are going to have to fill in your contact information. And so you're going to fill that all in. Your first, your last name, you're going to need your email, and go ahead and fill in your phone number. Then you will scroll down and you are going to see your pledge plan. So this pledge plan, it breaks down your total pledge amount, which we said was $120. It's going to show you if you have any gift for today, which I did 0. Then it's going to break it down into what you're going to give on your frequency. So we said we wanted to give every week. So that means you're going to give $2.27 every week for 53 weeks. Because remember, this is for the entire year. Now, let's say I actually chose bi-weekly. You're going to notice that this changes. Now it says I'm going to give $4.45 on a bi-weekly basis, and that will equal 27 total times you give to the church. You can also check to see what it looks like if you would do this monthly. That means I would give $10 every month for 12 months or 12 different times. Then finally, the 1st and 15th should look similar, or it'll be $5 to total your $10 for the month, and you'll do that 24 times throughout the year. The next thing you're going to want to do is click Create My Pledge. You're going to see this saying that your pledge is being created. Please do not exit or do not refresh at that moment. Your next option is to go ahead and sign if you want to do auto pay. What that means is automatically on the 1st and 15th, on the 1st of the month, every Sunday, whatever your frequency is, it's automatically going to charge your credit card with the amount that we determined in that previous section. You do not have to do this. This just makes it easier. It is an option for you to use. This is what Michael and I do. Now, last year, I know there were some emails that were sent reminding everyone to give towards their pledge campaign. Those emails will not be sent this year. Let me repeat. If you do auto pay this year, you will not receive those reminder emails. I have confirmed with Tidely that I have full control over that and that you will not get those emails. So you can click yes or no. Whatever is in blue is what you have selected. Then you will enter in your information here. Now, the next thing I want you to consider is cover the fees. So just like at any other store that takes credit cards, for every time they process a card, they are charged a fee. So just like whenever you go to Kroger or to Target or to Walmart and they're charged a fee for you using your credit card, the church is also charged a fee. The church has been covering them. It is not an issue. However, if you would like to cover those fees, please do. We would really appreciate it. That also will go into your giving statement that you are mailed every quarter. You will see these listed on there. So you can say no or you can say yes. And by covering the fees, that just means you donate more to your pledge amount so that your full pledge goes towards this campaign. So that means instead of $10, you might give $10.12 or 5 cents, whatever that percentage is, every month. If you have questions about covering the fees, please reach out to myself, Brad, or Amanda, and we can help you understand that. Then you will again see your pledge plan. You will see that now it says you're going to give $5 plus fees on the 1st and 15th of every month, and that your total pledge was $120, and then your remaining gifts are $24. And then you're going to click Fund My Pledge. And then that should give you your confirmation screen. Since I have not entered any credit card information in, it's probably not going to let me. We can certainly try this. So it won't let me get further, but from this screen, you will be able then to have your confirmation screen. And then you can make sure you create a login so you can come back at any time and be able to see this. You should also be able to see your pledges in Elvanto so you know when things are happening. And I do suggest at the beginning of the year, if you set up that auto pay, just go back in and verify in Elvanto or church management system that all of your pledges are going through correctly, and then reach out to someone on finance for help with that. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I am here to help. Brad also knows some about finances, so does Amanda, and we are all here to help you. So from here, you are going to watch a little snippet from our stewardship workshop that we did, Rethinking Stewardship for a New Day with Pastor Jerry O'Neill. And we sure hope that you will watch it and you will respond to some of our reflection questions that we have been posting on social media. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know.
So how do we manage all of this in practice? First of all, regardless of what the area of our lives is, whether it is our time, our our faith formation, our financial resources, our relationships, the good creation that God has given us, we begin in prayer. Because if we want to manage this in accordance with God's wishes, we need to seek what God's will is for that area. We want to put God first in our time. So at the beginning of each day, we set a time aside to be present with God. Now, for some people, they're better off doing that at the end of the day. It depends on your own body's rhythms and such. But to set that time aside for God, for our resources. So, for example, with finances, we put God first at the top of our budgets. Our family budget has a Bible verse at the very top of it. But also in terms of our giving, we'll get there later on that. We need to watch out for impulses that can turn into addictions, because our culture is really good in various ways at grabbing us and pulling us off track where God would long for us to go. Technology, this is one that I personally struggle with. Technology is great in moderation, but how addicted are we to these crazy things, right? It used to be to use the phone, not only did you have to be at home, you had to be connected to a wall. Many of you remember those phones. I remember one growing up of that way. Not anymore. Now we carry them all around with us every time, all the time. And oh, by the way, they don't just make phone calls. They do texting. You can play games on them. You can do social media on them. And it's scary how much they have turned into addictions for us. I know personally for myself, when I get caught up in those things, I find it hard to still my soul to pray, contemplatively for an extended period, because my mind has become scattered. Again, how we utilize these God-given resources impacts our relationship with God, not just the other way around, not just as impacted by, but also impacted. Similarly, from a financial standpoint, impulse purchases, right? Now, again, this can be done in moderation, but this can quickly turn into an addiction. And not only will it throw off finances personally, but also can impact our relationship with God. The goal of this all, in every area of life, I think, is simplicity and generosity. Simplicity is a life filled with the essentials. 1 Timothy 6:8 says, but if we have food and clothing, we will be content with these. A life where the basic needs are met. And let's face it, there are folks out there in the world that don't. And that's where we direct many of our social ministries. It's also a life filled with contentment. where, as Paul says, I have learned to be content with whatever I have, to lack or to be in need or to not lack. Either way, whether times are good or times are bad, to be content, settled in God. And then generosity, giving ourselves away for the sake of others. Our time, volunteering, our talents, using those for the goods of others, our possessions, both financial and otherwise, our relationships, giving ourselves away, not just for those in our family, but for those in the community of faith, with our relationships with those whom we serve. You see, the goal here is living simply and giving our lives away. Jesus says, those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will find it. But I know I'm preaching to the choir. Okay. It really is pretty simple. We humans need to give. There's a wonderful book out there, and you can see it on the screen, called The Paradox of Generosity. Giving we receive, grasping we lose, by Christian Smith and Hilary Davidson. In this book, and it's a secular book, looking at generosity and people's lives. And they found that people who give in various ways, this is not just financial giving, and definitely not just financial giving to the church, but a broad range of measures of giving, they tend to be happier, they have better social connections, they are healthier, they experience lower stress, they tend to be wealthier, they tend to live longer lives. And interestingly, you would assume that those who are happier, healthier, wealthier, live longer lives would be more generous. But actually, they found the link to go the other direction. That when we are generous in our lives, it leads to these outcomes. The links are actually causal for it. That's curious, isn't it? You would think that those who would give would be poorer because they've given some of it away, right? And in some cases, they become just so obsessed with giving, and then it doesn't provide those benefits. There is a small subset of people where giving really has almost become impulsive, become an addiction. I have to give, I have to give, I have to give. In that situation, the benefits don't play out. But for the vast majority of folks, when they do give themselves away, they find life. And so here's one reason why I think this is true. In Genesis 1:26, it says, we are made in the image of God. I find that curious. For years, you cannot make a graven image of God. That's one of the commandments according to a different listing. A Lutheran listing doesn't include that. But God has already made images of God's self. Just look in the face of each other. Each of us in a unique way reflects the divine image, the divine beauty. God, by very nature, is a giver. So if we're made in the image of God, it makes sense that it would be within our truest nature to be givers as well. And so because of that, giving brings us incredible joy. By this, I don't mean fleeting happiness. Jesus says, I've said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete, filled to the brim. And then he says, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. One can give without loving, but one cannot love without giving. So when we do give, when we give ourselves away, we find this joy, the same joy that God experiences in giving us all good things. Remember at the end of creation, God looked and saw indeed it was very good, right? And so we get to experience some of that same joy as we participate in the creative generosity of God. All right, let's get down to some brass tacks. How should we give and how much? From Deuteronomy 26, 1 through 11, beautiful passage. We give first fruits, some of the first of the fruit of the land. Now, this was designed for a summer festival for the ancient Israelites. It was an act of trust on their part because when they gave first fruits, they didn't know if the rest of the harvest was going to come in later in the fall, or if a drought or a flood might wash it all away. In our practice, many of us have a somewhat regular stream of income. We have a budget, a plan to spend the money we receive, and the top expense item on the budget is giving, because we give first fruits. And then we trust God to provide enough to cover our other expenses. Now, the technical how in our giving can occur in many ways, as we discussed earlier. And by the way, this giving doesn't just need to be to the church, although I believe that a large percentage of it should be, because the church is where we first learned the reason for giving and received the greatest gift of all, salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ. We received by grace through faith, through the ministries of the church. Now, the biblical standard for giving, and by the way, think about this also in this standpoint of time, is tithe, 10% of income. I wonder if we're giving 10% of our time away to God, spending time with God in prayer, serving others. Are we giving that 10%? That's an interesting question and a challenging one. And when it comes to finances, this standard of a tithe, we aren't even close to as Lutherans. As a median number, the median Lutheran household gives 0.62% of their income to their congregation. Now, why do I mention median here? Normally, when you talk average, those who are mathematically inclined, you talk about the mean. You add up the percentages of income that people give to their local church, and you divide by the number of people. Median is the middle number. So if I laid them all out, this person gives nothing, this person gives 0.1%, this person gives 10%. Lay them all out, the middle number would be 0.62%. The reason I give that is the mean is a good bit higher because there are people at the top that skew it. Similar to why we talk about the median household income in our country compared to the average mean household income, because you have the billionaires of the world that completely skew the number up. Back to tithing. Tithing, I think, is not necessarily a good word to use anymore, just because it's such a churchy word, and there are folks who are nowhere close to it. I think the tithe is a very good standard. My family and I tithe. We go beyond a tithe, and we're grateful that we can do it. But what is better is to encourage growing in generosity. Pastor Mike Ward, who is a partner with GSB, Grongo and Sather Bronco, our partners in the Synod doing stewardship education, mentioned he had a couple in their congregation who started out and they said, we can't give a tithe, but what we will do is we'll start at whatever percent and we will increase it 1% per year. By the time the husband died and Mike knew them, they were giving away 38% of their income, because they grew it 1% per year, year after year after year, growing in generosity.